And this is his first speech. And he will be sharing how his life has changed since moving to North Carolina. His speech is titled, From the Desert. Now, he's not from the desert. He's from someplace in Oregon. California. But we're going to find out what it means to be from the desert. So if you will welcome Eric Good.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Perfect.
Fellow Toastmasters, honored guest. Job 40, verses 4 through 6. Behold, I am of small account. I do not know how to answer you. I lay my hand over my mouth. I have spoken once, but will not answer. Twice, but will proceed no further. I read these words aloud as tears poured onto the pages of my Bible, sitting in a cheap motel room in the middle of Arizona. And then the Lord called to Job out of the storm. This is the story of how God rescued my wife and I from a storm almost 3 years ago in Arizona. It starts on a happy day at our wedding. We had decided that once we were married, we wanted to move here to North Carolina. We come from a place called Modesto, California. You can look it up. Some infamous people are Scott Peterson, who murdered his pregnant wife. The guy that killed those kids in Yosemite. There's an arch downtown that says water, wealth, contentment, health. Modesto, we say murder, meth, and auto theft. So, needless to say, getting married, starting a family, we wanted to make a change. And my father-in-law had actually moved here to North Carolina in 2010. My wife and I had visited a couple times, and we thought it's a beautiful place. Still think that to this day. And we decided that once we were married, we'd move out here. Well, August 25th, 2012, we got married. A couple days later, having no money, because weddings are not free, we packed whatever we could into our little Ford Escort and started our journey to North Carolina. After about a day and a half of driving, 400 miles from the New Mexico border, our precious little white Ford Escort blew a head gasket. We were towed 40 miles back to the nearest town, if you could call it that. It had no post office, and had to sell our car for junk. We got $100 for it. And there I am in the motel room, bawling my eyes out, thinking there must be a way that God is going to use this for good. There must be a way that God is going to use this for good. I had no idea what it was going to be. All of our plans had just fallen into nothing. But with help from parents, we were able to get some bus tickets. We hopped on the Greyhound. We threw out about 2/3 of all of our stuff because you can't fit as much as you can in a suitcase as you can in an Escort. So we packed what we could into suitcases, hopped on the Greyhound, and after about 2.5, 3 days, it felt like an eternity, of riding on the Greyhound bus, we stepped off Charlotte, North Carolina, September 2nd, 2012. And to underscore our poor situation, the Greyhound lost our luggage.
Oh,
no.
So here we are, staying at my father-in-law's, no job, no car, nothing but the clothes on our back. Now, fortunately, after a few days, the Greyhound did return our stuff. So we really had no idea what we were going to do. We knew that we needed to find jobs. There was a day, my wife and I, we needed to go to the store to pick up a pack of cigarettes. Having no car, we walked, and we passed a cigar shop, which was much closer than the gas station, which was a couple blocks away. So I thought to myself, hey, cigar shop, they'll at least have American spirits. So I went inside. Sure enough, all they had was American spirits and cigars. And I see right there by the register one of those Indians, like in Seinfeld. And it's holding a sign. It says, Men's Bible Study, Wednesdays, 7 o'clock. On my way home, I think to myself, hey, today is Wednesday. It would make sense, since this is clearly walking distance, for me to walk back and come to Bible study. I've got nothing else going on, no car, no job, nothing to do. So I show up, I walk in, Smoke everywhere. It's McCraney's for those of you who may have been there before. Smoke everywhere. I'm the only guy in the room under the age of 40. And I say, hey everybody, my name's Bjerke. I have no job, no car, no money. I live with my in-laws. I took the bus here. If anybody knows where I could get a job, I would be eternally grateful. And in the corner, Julie knows who this is Rick Ruby. You can Google him. He's an outrageous character. He's the owner of my company. But he's sitting in the corner. He's smoking a cigar. Have you ever done sales before, kid? Naturally, I say, yes, I have. When can I start? And the rest is history, as they say. Since then, in less than 3 years now, I have gone from someone whose extent of their job experience was working 70 hours a week in kitchens, Applebee's and KFC, where the most I ever made was 20 grand in a year, to my first year there making 40 grand, my second year 60. This year I'm on track to make 80. I've learned the craft of being in sales. I've learned how to be a better husband. I've grown as a person so much, and looking back, it's almost impossible to believe that less than 3 years ago, I stepped off a bus with nothing but the clothes on my back. And the story of Job, what happened to Job in the Bible is worse than any of us could ever comprehend. And yet God brought him through the storm. And just as this story is a great story and it's a true story, you'll remember it when things don't go as planned in your life. And remember that God is faithful. Just as he brought my wife and I out of Arizona, just as he brought Job out of despair and into an even greater life, he will be faithful to you next time things don't go as planned. Mr. Toastmaster?